Okay, now for this part hole, right? You need to be careful because this part hole is the only way to do it is model drawing. There's no other ways. Okay, let me make sure that I'm on part hole. Yep. Okay, so you all have your part hole notes ready?
Yes.
Already? Okay, so today we're going to learn the different types of part hole. So over here, they say that there are a total of 95 pears and orange in a basket. And they say that 1/5 of the pears is 8 more than 1/6 of the oranges. Okay, so now this sentence here, right? The one that I'm going to highlight in pink has a lot of information. Because when they say one, what do they mean by one of the pears? 1 unit. So when they say one, this means, right, that 1 unit of the pears is 8 more than 1 unit of the orange. Understand? Clear so far? So how are we going to go? This is pink color. So I know that pears. This is pear, yeah? 1 unit of my pear is 8 more than 1 unit of my orange. 1 unit, and 8 more. Correct? So this is what the information in pink. However, there is a fraction. So I change color, it's in blue. Later, you all must make sure you all do it in blue. So what is the blue information? Is this 5? What does this 5 means? Total for who? So total for pears means in total, pears have how many units?
5 units.
Not just 5 units, but 5 times of this. So here, last time, you remember we do 5 times, we copy paste 5 times. We need to draw a lot, right? So there's a better way right now we'll do is we just make sure we times 5. Can you see here? We times 5. Instead of drawing 5 times, you want to draw 5 times? It's also possible. So you just draw 5 times. Here's 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. You see that? 5 times. Okay? But if you don't draw 5 times, it will look very messy. You can just put times 5. But you need to be very careful when you multiply by 5. Why? Do you all remember why you need to be very careful when you multiply by 5?
Because we cannot just multiply the unit, but we also need to multiply the number.
Very good. Excellent. Because when you multiply by 5, that's very detailed explanation. You need to multiply not just to the units, you also need to multiply to the number, which is 8. So in total, I know that the total for the pears is actually how much?
5 units plus 40.
5 units plus 40. Remember, we learned forming equation previously, just the basic one only, right? Okay, we haven't learned the advanced yet. The advanced we'll learn next lesson. But for you, you already learned the advanced. For you guys, you at least know the basics, so we can do the forming equation for this later. And what else? Let's look at the oranges now. The oranges must look at the denominator. The denominator says what?
6.
What does 6 means?
Total for the oranges.
Total for oranges. So what you can do is you can do copy paste, like stacking model that you all learned in lower primary. You can copy paste 6 times, but you'll get very messy and not enough space. So we can just use a very simple strategy is just take this and multiply by 6. So it means that the total for the orange will be 6 units, right? And remember just now we're talking about the total for here, total of pears and oranges, right? So this whole information for the total is in green, and that means that the total is how much?
11 units.
Which is how much from the question? 95, right? And from now, can we form our link already? Yes, we can form our link. I have not enough space, so that's why I don't want you all to write first, because you need a lot of space. So right now, green with green, we can write down our information. We can say that here, total for pears, it's 5 units plus 40, because this is for the pears, right? Plus the oranges, which is 6 units. This is for the oranges, correct? And in totality, we have 95. So remember when we learned we need to add the units together. We have 5 units and 6 units. It will be 11 units plus 40 is equal to 95. We also learned that we need to bring the numbers together because this is not a unit. So this is considered as plus 40, right? You need to bring it over to the right-hand side, correct now? So for the girls, remember, plus 40, bring it to the right-hand side, it becomes what? So it'll be 95 minus 40, and 11 units is actually equal to? And then from here, do you think you can find 1 unit?
Yes.
How much is 1 unit?
5 divided by 11.
All right. So with that, that's it. So we have not solved the question yet. I want you all to take out your pink, your blue, and your green and copy everything word for word. Whatever you see on the screen, copy very carefully. Don't miss out any information. Okay, so we'll continue on how to solve right now. The question asks for how many more pairs. So what does how many more means? They want to find the difference. So highlight and write that down, difference now. In red, highlight and write that down, the difference. Okay, so we need to find the difference. In order to find the difference, we need to find out how many pairs are there at first and how many oranges are there, correct? So let's go about finding how many pairs. So it's in blue. Because can you see the pair is total is what? So let's start with pairs first. Pairs, the total is how much, guys? 5u plus 40, right? And do we know how much is 5 units? Because we already have how much? 1 unit. So to find 5 units, that means that I'll take 5, bracket 5 times 5, and then I need to add a 40. And how much do I get?
65.
Yes. Okay. And then now we'll find the oranges. So the girls, your turn now. How to find oranges? Oranges is easier. 6 units. And how to find 6 units?
5 times 6.
5 times 6, which is
30.
30. And we cannot stop here because the question asks for how many more. How many more is in? The difference, which is in what color?
Red.
So I can find the difference now, which is in red. Follow the same color coding to find the difference. And the difference is the difference of the pears and the oranges, which is
65 minus 30.
which is 35. Ta-da! The end.
I don't know what it is.
That's it. Okay, so why type 2 is very confusing, right? Because type 2 involves model drawing and a little bit of forming equation, but not the advanced forming equation, just the basic forming equation. So what does that mean? So this one requires model drawing, because if you don't have model drawing, you just do forming equation, you cannot solve also. So you need a hybrid, you need 2. Okay, so let's go. So I had this part here, I sold 1/6 of them because these are referring to all the buttons, right? So what does that mean? It means with this red information, okay, don't copy because you don't know how much space you need. So let's listen and understand first. They say that 6 of them. So I have 6 of them here. Okay? This is the at first, correct now? So he said that I sold 1/6 of them. So this is for the uniforms. One of them is the uniforms. So let's put uniforms. I call this as units because this is part whole. Part whole means you use units and parts. So I call all this as not 1 unit, I just write as units first. U for units. So over here, I know I'll also write down 1 unit because later it'll get very confusing. How I know that this involving part whole? Because the next part, they say 1/9 of the remaining on some dresses. And why is it not repeated identity? Because, can you see, I buy some more things. They never say I'm left with 84 buttons. If they say that I'm left with 84 buttons, then that is repeated identity. So can you see the difference between repeated identity and part whole already? Part whole means I either going to top up or I'm going to cut some parts of it. Okay, so how do we do? It means that we need a drop down. I repeat again, because they say 1/9 of the remaining, right? So you need a drop down. So I drop down in my model right now, and they say I need to cut into 9 parts. So I cut into 3 first, another 3, another 3, and over here I write as parts. So I'm very clear that all the ones in pink are parts, and of which one of them is for the dresses, and I put bracket 1 part. So I'm very clear on that. Okay, so right now we're going to do all your color coding and do your model drawing before we continue for the next confusing part. Now, this is the next keyword after buying 84 more buttons. So this is quite easy. You just add on, because I buy, right? I buy 84, correct? So I add on. But what is confusing is, this is the part students are going to be confused. The key thing here, I'm going to highlight in green, the 4th color, is that he has as many buttons he had at first. So what are they trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that now my before and after is the same. Before and after is the same. And in math, how to show that it's the same? What do we put? How to show that before and after is the same?
Equal.
Yes. In math, you want to say that it's the same, we put equal to show that before and after is the same. We put an equal sign. So how to find the before? So we look at here. Before is in what color? In red, right? And before is from here to here, correct? This is my before. And you look carefully, before is actually in units or parts. How many units? Put bracket, 6 units. And where's my after? Pink, but it's not including the dress, you know, because why? I use it for the dress already. Because after is the leftover, right? Means it's from here to here, correct now? And this is my after. And what is my after? It's made up of?
8 parts and 8 parts plus 84.
Yes, 8 parts plus 84. So far, so good? And we know they are the same. So what does that mean? Means from here, I can say that the before is 6 units. It's the same as 8 parts plus 84. And this is when students will get stuck. They don't know how to continue. So what's another relationship we can find? There's an unspoken rule. So you need a 5th color. You don't have 5th color, please borrow from your friends, yeah? This is the unspoken rule. The hidden rule right here. Can you see this part here? So what can we say about this part here? This orange one, because it's the same, right? We did a drop down. So from this orange part, we can say that
5 units equals to 9 parts.
9 parts, yes. Right? But look at your original equation. Can you see your original equation here? Is in units and parts. So it's either number 1, you make everybody in units, or everybody in parts. So if I know that 5 units is equal to 9 parts, I can find 6 units, right? And you know how to do secret 7, correct? If you don't know, then you just do the traditional way. You just find 1 unit first. How to find 1 unit?
9 divided by
And what's 9 divided by 5?
1.8.
So is 1 unit is equivalent to 1.8 parts. But you want it to be how many units?
6 units.
6 units, right? Correct? So you want it to be 6 units because here is 6 units. Because I want everybody to be parts. So 6 units actually how many parts?
1.8 plus 6.
1.8.
Yes, 10.8 parts. Now, after we get these 10.8 parts, we put it back inside here, right? So we say bye-bye, 6 units will become 10.8 parts equal to 8 part plus 84. Then do you realize it's so much easier to solve now? You put the parts together, right? So what does it become now? The girl's answer.
Become 2.8 2.8.
How do you get 2.8?
10.8 minus 8.
So I know that 2.8 parts is actually equivalent to,
84.
and from here I can find,
1 part.
how to find one part, the girls again.
1 part is 84 divided by 2.8.
Yes, 84 divided by 2.8.
It's 30.
So I know that one part is actually equal to 30. But let's read back the question. What does the question say? At first is how many? What did we discover about at first? Yes, at first we realized that, oh my God, at first I only find parts, but the at first is in 6 units. But we know from here, right? Can you see here? What do we realize about these 6 units? 8 parts plus 84. And do we have the value of 8 parts?
Yes.
Because we had the value of 1 part, right? So you just take 8 times 30 plus 84. And what do you get?
184.
240 parts plus 84.
And how much is that? You sure? Show.
Yeah, it's 300.
Show.
Yeah.
On the calculator, everybody key that in and show it to me. No, I need you to key that in.
Oh, the whole thing.
No, that part with the brackets and all. Key that and show it to me.
Wait, what is that?
Okay, make sure your partner have it.
Okay.
All right. Yes. So now you can start copying all this. So for type 3,
Oh no. The ugly part.
okay, so for type 3, what did they say about Lawrence? What did Lawrence do? Okay, so we're gonna color this in pink because this is my starting, right? So later then do, as you not know how much space to write. So 1/3 means I cut it into 1, 2, 3. And I say that 1/3 of it is on washing machines. Okay, so this is, I still call it as 1 unit first, right? So here I just write units to remind myself. These are all in units. Then I continue reading. Okay, how do I know it's part whole? Because I not just spend my remaining, I also have a top up additional. Can you see that? So it's a little bit different from your repeated identity. So they say I spend 1/3 of my remaining money and additional 250 on a computer. So because I say I spend 1/3 of my remaining money means the only way to do it is to do a drop down. Otherwise, it'd be too confusing for me. Understand? And from here, I'll tell myself it's no longer units, it's parts. I don't spend my computer I don't spend only 1/3 of my remaining money, but they say 1/3 and a additional. So I put a zigzag to remind myself that $250 is part of it. Okay, it's not one full unit, it's part of it. So I just put 250 in this zigzag corner. And I know that this whole thing is actually my computer, which is 1 part plus the $250. Clear so far? Now, let's continue. Different color. They say I spent $200 on a DVD player and had $30 left. So it means that they're trying to tell me that these remaining parts that I'm seeing here is for DVD and left. And of which this DVD is $200 and the left is $30. So what can we say already? We can say that, can you see this is only for this part here? But the whole thing, wherever I form a link is I need full units or full parts, right? So technically I can form something already. What do you all notice? What can I form? Or what can I say? 1 unit.
2 units equals to 3 parts.
No, not yet. I can form a link already. You look very carefully at the model, you can form a link. The key thing is full units or full parts.
One part is the complete part minus 100.
Okay, so this is the part we can form the link, right? The one in purple. So from this purple part, what can we say already? We can say that 2 parts is equal to 200. No. Yes, 250 plus 200. Exactly. So I know that 2 parts is actually equal to
450.
and from here I can find
One part.
1 part. And how much is 1 part?
180 divided by 2.
Which is?
240.
So 480 divided by 2 is 240. And remember just now I color the one in orange, the magical part. So this is the magical unspoken link, right? The one in orange. So in the one in orange, what can we say already from the one in orange? Exactly. We know that 2 units is equal to 3 parts. And do we know what is 3 parts?
240 360.
So I know that 2 units is actually equal to 360. Yes, 720. Then after that, from here, what can I find?
1 unit.
1 unit will be equal to 720 divided by 2. And what's the question asking for? Yes, how much money he have at first? And where's the at first? Okay, the pink, which is
3 units. 360 times 3
360 times 3.
is 1080.
Yes, the end. Okay, so for the next part, type 4. Now, this is a lot of things is happening. So same thing. Let's read this magical sentence first. The first sentence, they say that 18 is not 1/3. You know, previously we did additional, right? Or more, correct? But right now is fewer. So we have 18 fewer children than 1/3 of them love the super trees. Not 1/3, yeah, 1/3. Okay, so some children went for a trip. So what does this mean? It means that when I draw my model into 3 parts, is it 3 parts? Hold on. So 1/3 is the correct one, yeah? Not half, it's 1/3. So yours is 1/3, right?
Yeah.
And yours is also 1/3, right? Okay, this is correct one. Okay, so right now we have, if they say 1/3 means we need to draw 3 units. But they say it's 18 fewer than 1 unit. So this is 1 whole unit, right? So it's 18 fewer. So we'll do a zigzag, not after the 1 unit, but before the 1 unit. So you need to be very careful that from here to here, it's 1 unit. Okay? So from there to there is 1 unit. So 1 unit, this is fewer. Okay, so right now this is for super trees, but super trees is not 1 full unit. For super trees, it's only 18 lesser than 1 unit. This is my super tree. Now let's change color. 11 more than 2/3 of the remainder love the flower dome or flower dome. So it means that I need to drop down. So a lot of students make a mistake. They drop down from here, which is wrong because super tree is up to where? It's up to here, the zigzag line, right? So you need to do a drop down from here to here. So from here to here, it's 2/3. So we know that it's 2/3 and 11 more, right? So this is 11 because it's more than the 2 units, and this is flower dome. Now they say there's a remaining 29 children love the cloud forest. So this is the leftover of 29 that love the cloud forest. All right, so right now, how can we form the link really? So I'm gonna write units first here and parts here. And I can say that this part here is called 1 part is equal to 11 plus 29, which is equal to 40. All right, now, where's the magical part that we're going to box it up in orange, right? You need to be very careful. This is the tricky part. So this is the orange one. You need to be really careful because why? What do you notice? How can we form the link for this orange part? What can we say?
2u plus 18 equals.
Yes, why? Because it's 1 unit here and 1 unit here, right? So this is 2 units plus 18. And it's the same as
3 parts.
1, 2, 3, 3 parts. Correct? So 2 units plus 18 is equal to 3 parts. And the clue I have from previous steps is parts or units. Parts, right? So I can actually find 3 parts. How much is 3 parts? So I just copy paste the 2 unit plus 18 first, equal to, okay, don't jump step. How we get 120? We take, yes, 3 times 40. And then from here, we have 2 units plus 18 is equal to 120. And can we find 2 units? 2 units is how much?
120 minus 18.
Yes, 120 minus 18. And how much do you get?
102.
Okay, 102. And from here, I can actually find 1 unit. And how much is 1 unit?
121 times 2 equals 51.
Now let's read back the question. What did the question say? How many children went for the trip? So how to find out how many children went for a trip? Yes, it's 3 units because it's a total of this whole thing, right? So it's 3 units and 3 units is equal to 51. The end. And that's for type 4. Next one we'll move on is type 5. Okay, so for the next part, this is the last one. They say that Roy had to paint a piece of paper. Okay, so the full paper, so let's see, we have yellow. So let's do yellow. So I do yellow. He painted in yellow. So what does that mean? So I'll take my yellow. Not sure if y'all can see. I don't think so.
I don't have a yellow pen. I have.
A yellow pen is very hard to see. Maybe you can use orange instead.
Okay.
Okay, so right now I have yellow. I paint 1/5 of the paper in yellow. So I call this as yellow. This is quite hard to see. Okay, you can see, yeah? And then they say that a little bit of it in red. Okay, but I do not know how much is 85, correct? Of the paper in red. So I just roughly just do a zigzag to tell myself that it's part of a unit. It can be part of 1 unit, it can be part of 2 units, 3 units, I don't know. I just put 85 like that to tell myself it's part of it. And here to here will be in red. Okay, I'm going to write my yellow because it's not enough space. It's going to add on into mine. Okay, I'm going to write yellow here. Red. Okay, I'll continue reading. And they say that 1/3 of the remainder in green. So I'm going to color it in green. And remainder means I do a drop down. Drop down, drop down. So I'm going to drop it down. And drop it down, I'm going to cut it into 3, right? And one of it is in green. Okay. And the rest are blue. So I know that these are the rest and it's in blue. So far, so good. Okay, but right now they have like not enough information. Why? Because this is a very interesting information. They tell me that of this 1/4, right? This 1/4 belongs to blue. And the whole piece of paper is 4. Did I lose anyone so far? Okay, make your notes first before we move on. Color code and make your notes first before we move on.
So we draw.
Okay. So right now, remember the same thing. Wherever we see this part here, the top part, what do we call it? Units. Very good. And then this bottom part, we call it as? Parts. Huh? So right now, let's settle this fraction first because it's very confusing. So if you look at the blue is actually what?
2 parts.
2 parts. I don't even look at my model yet. Just focus on the fraction. If I know that 1/4 is 2 parts, I can say that a full fraction of 4/4 is actually
8 parts.
8 parts. So I can say this whole piece of paper is actually 8 parts. And where is this whole piece of paper? It's from here to here is 8 parts. Clear so far?
Yeah.
Now we can form the link. Let's look at my units. I want to see how many units is equal to 8 parts.
5.
So let's look at here, this part here. Over here, right? We have 5 units. So I know that 5 units is equal to 8 parts. But yet I still cannot solve because I need to look at another zone here. Okay, because I use in orange, let's look at this pink zone here. Correct? Okay, so what about this pink zone? It's very confusing, because this pink zone, can you see that this is actually 3 parts, right? Agree? 3 parts. Because from my model, I know that this is 1 part, 1 part, 1 part. So this whole thing is 3 parts, right? And my yellow is actually 1 unit. Yes, not 1 part, 1 unit. So what does that mean? It means that if I look at here, I know that 1 unit plus 85 plus the 3 parts is equal to what?
8 parts.
8 parts. Correct? Okay. Now, this is very confusing because why? Can you see everybody's in parts and parts? But here, this is in 1 unit. Correct? So what I'm going to do is, I won't do all this yet because I was just trying to explain to you. The confusing part is this person right here, which is the 1 unit, right? If only this 1 unit is in parts, we know how many parts, my life will be a lot easier. Correct now? And we already know that 5 units is equal to 8 parts, correct? From this orange box that I just drew. So that means that I can find 1 unit, isn't it? And 1 unit is what? 8 divided by 5, which is equal to 1.6 parts. So I know that this part here, that I'm going to shade right here, is actually 1.6 parts, correct? So from here, what can I say? I can say that this is 1.6 parts plus 85 plus 3 parts is equal to 8 parts. Okay? Then all the parts and all the parts together. So bring over, bring over. So I know that 85 is actually equal to 8 parts. Take away the 3 parts. Take away the 1.6 parts, right? Which is equal to how much at the end of the day? 3.4 parts. I'm going to blanco this one because I've got enough space. So for me, I won't write it like that because it's very confusing. Always write your parts and units first, right? So I know that 3.4 parts is actually equivalent to 85. And from here, I can find 1 part. And how much is 1 part? 85 divided by 3.4. And how much do you guys get? Show me on your calculator screen. Okay, okay, okay. So you get 1 part is 25. Okay, then now let's read back the question. They say that find the area of the paper. And the paper is in 8 parts. And how to find 8 parts? 25 times 8. And what's my answer? 200. Ta-da! The end. And with that, congratulations. You have graduated from part whole with forming equation.